Meeting order. Let the record show that the directors in attendance are Ms. Heisel, Mr. Gannon, Dr. Garcia, Mr. Stahanowitz, and Dr. Barksdale, and we do have a quorum. All right. Jimmy, do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
We do not. All right, the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. So if we hadn't had a chance to look at those before we got there, we now have a minute to do so.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
So we have motion to approve.
Second motion.
Mr. Henowitz, a second from Dr. Barksdale. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the next item is item D in your calendar. It is contract for security services.
Hi, we went out to bid this year for security services. We did have 3 bids that came in, and it's on the next sheet is my grid. And our vendor who want to award the contract to is Southern Armored Security LLC. The contract amount is for $204,074. The time period it will cover will be from January 1st of 2026 through the end of 2026. The current vendor is Lieutenant Gabriel Villarreal. He is also Southern Armored Security. He just switched to an LLC. He is the off-duty as Bexar County Sheriffs. Those are the uniformed officers that are in our building. So we asked the board for your approval.
All right, do we have any questions?
Same quick question. I guess they when they carry insurance coverage, they include us in their insurance.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes. That's part of the bit that they must have.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
I will
Motion
say,
to approve.
okay, I will say I've always, they have been very friendly and courteous. I've had excellent experience with you, so.
Yes, they have.
I have a motion from Mr. Honowitz. We have a second.
Second.
Second from Dr. Barksdale. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item E is this TCDRS, which I assume stands for something, the cost of living adjustment. So, presumably we'll find out what that is and what we need to do.
Mr. Gannon, before we start, sir, and I asked the board for authorization to fund a 1% contribution to our cost of living adjustment to our retirees. We have asked Ms. Amy Campbell from the Texas County and District Retirement System, TCDRS, to come in here and give the board a brief overview of the way we handle this process. Thank you, ma'am.
Great. Thank you all so much. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure being here. Again, my name is Amy Campbell. I'm with the Texas County and District Retirement System, which is a mouthful. So TCDRS. Going forward, I am going to spend just a few minutes to let you know a little bit about the plan that you all have, the benefits that you provide your employees, the way that you fund those benefits, and I'm going to address the 1% cost of living, which is for the retirees that you have, and how you have pre-funded and fund that as you go, so it doesn't continue as a new liability on your books. So in your packet, you should have a folder from TCDRS. As you look down at it on the right side is this presentation. I'm going to spend just a few minutes and go over a high level just to let you know who we are and what you all provide. So these numbers are as of December 31st, 2024. Then we had 890 employers. We currently have almost 925 employers participating with TCDRS. We add new employers to our plan every single month. We serve over 394,000 Texans, which include members and retirees. With our reserves, we are over 90% funded, which puts us in the top 20% public pension plans nationwide. Our 30-year return is 8%, and we have over $51 billion in assets that we manage. To put that in perspective, when I came to work for TCDRS 20 years ago, we had about $8 to $9 billion in assets. So we've had tremendous growth within the last 20 years, both the number of employers that we serve, members that we serve, and assets under management. Changing to page 2 on your slide, slide 3. We were created in 1967 by the Texas legislature. I think that one thing that is interesting with our plan as opposed to some of the other public pension plans in Texas is that we do not receive any funding from the state of Texas. I'm going to talk about how we're funding. We can be in the budget hearings, conversation, but the legislature does not allocate any funds directly to TCDRS. Our operating costs are actually 0.17% of our assets, and that's netted out of all of our investment fees. We're managed by a 9-member board of trustees. Those are appointed by the governor and confirmed by the Senate, and they serve staggered terms. And from the very beginning, when we welcomed our first employers into TCDRS in January of 1968, we did retirement right. We are made up of 3 unique features that set us apart from other public pension plans within the state of Texas and really nationwide. There's only a handful of pension plans designed like us. First is that we're savings based. So what does that mean? That means that your employees are saving for their own retirement over the course of their career. And at the same time, the appraisal district is saving for those matching dollars that you're promising over the course of their career. So you're pre-funding these benefits that potentially, if your employees work long enough, become vested and eligible and actually retire someday, that money is already saved for them to take the day that they submit that paperwork. Number 2 is responsible funding. At TCDRS, we value each one of our plans independently. We look at your demographics, we look at your benefits, we look at the way that you're funding your plan, and our actuaries determine a required rate that by state statute, you all have to fund on an annual basis. You can fund at the minimum required rate, or you can fund a little bit more than that if you like. However, you don't have the option to let us know that you just don't want to fund at that minimum required rate that year, but you'll make it up in future years. That leads us to the 3rd unique feature, which is flexibility and local control. If the benefits that you provide and the cost that we determine to fund those benefits doesn't fit into your employees' needs and your budget needs, you have the flexibility and local control to change those benefits on an annual basis. If times are tough and budgets are tight, you can actually reduce benefits to save costs. If times are good and the appraisal district is flourishing, you can enhance your benefits. Now, I will say that the appraisal district does participate at some of the highest benefit levels, and I'm going to go over those in just a moment. So those are really the 3 unique features within TCDRS that help us to do retirement right. Going to page 3, that first slide, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the savings-based benefit. Like I said, saving-based benefit means that your employees are saving for their own retirement over the course of their career. Every pay period, your employees have a deduction of 7% of their gross pay that is then sent to TCDRS, is deposited into their own personal account. They can log on, they can look at their money growth, they can run estimates, they can set their beneficiaries, they can do all kinds of things within their own account at TCDRS. And their account earns an annual 7% interest every single year. And that interest is compounding. That is not variable. That is set by the legislature, and that's what our members receive when they participate in TCDRS. So when the stock market's having a great year, they get 7%. When the stock market is struggling a little bit and isn't having a great year, they get 7%. And that's how their money grows over time. Now, the appraisal district has promised to match them at retirement. And like I said before, part of that responsible funding is that you all are sending in an employer contribution rate that funds that match down the road when they get ready to retire. This money that you all send for that 250% match at retirement does not go into your employee's account over the course of their career. It stays in the appraisal district's account. And they only receive that money when they become vested, eligible, and send in that retirement application. At that point in time, they get those matching dollars. So the 250% match is $2.50 that the appraisal district is promising to match for every $1 that they have in their account when they retire. In our plan, it's a little bit different. It's not like a 401k. When you have a 401k, once you're vested, that means that you've earned the right to that employer's money. And if you separate service, you get to take your money and the employer's money and roll it over, do what you will. In our system, once you're vested, that means you've earned the right to retire someday. That means that when you become eligible, you get to retire and then get that match. And in order to get the match and the retirement, you have to choose the monthly benefit because we're a defined benefit plan, not a defined contribution plan. And I'm going to go over those eligibility requirements. A little information on your retiree profile. Your average age of your employees is 43 years old with about 10 years of service. And your average retiree's age at retirement is 60 years old after 20 years of service. The appraisal district actually has a little bit more longevity to retirement than the overall demographic of TCDRS. System-wide, we notice our retirees are retiring after 16 or 17 years. You all have employees that are retiring after about 20 years with an average annual benefit of almost $42,000 in TCDRS. Really from you, we just administered it and paid that out to that. Turning to page 5, the top slide. Some people, take this slide out. I really like this slide. It really shows the benefit of plans like TCDRS. In 2024, TCDRS paid out $2.4 billion to benefit recipients in Bexar County. That includes the county, the appraisal district, water districts, EMS districts, and the list goes on. So that's really interesting that of that $2.4 billion, about 110 million came to Bexar County, right back into the local community. And that just helps to support the economy and work as an economic engine. Any questions before I go over your plan of benefits?
How many retirees are we paying for?
I don't think I brought that, but I can certainly get that information to you. I didn't bring the summary valuation. Let me see if I have it here. I can, I'm happy to email that information. So your plan of benefits, like I said before, your employees are depositing 7% of their own pay into their own account, and that's through a deduction from their pay. You're matching 250% at the time of retirement. In order to become vested, your employees have to give 10 years of service. After 10 years, they've earned the right to retire someday. Once they're vested, they can retire in 3 different ways. They can attain the age of 60, the rule of 75, meaning their age and their years of service equaling 75, or they can work 30 years and be any age, and they're eligible to retire. In our system, you can retire prior to the age 59 and a half. That doesn't mean it's an early retirement. It just means that you can become eligible before, so there is no penalty for retiring prior to age 59 and a half. And why do I mention then the age 59 and a half? In 401k plans, 450, not 457, but simple IRAs and other IRAs, 59 and a half is a retirement age. And if you take your money prior to that, then the IRS actually penalizes you for an early withdrawal penalty. At TCDRS, that doesn't exist. We can retire prior to age 59 and a half on a full retirement. The difference is that if you have people that are retiring at a younger age, we look at their account value, we look at their balance, we look at their age, their life expectancy, the option that they choose, and the pot of money that they have is going to have to last a little bit longer. So their monthly benefit isn't as large as it would be as if they waited 3 or 5 years down the road to retire. So that's your plan of benefits. One option benefit that you do have that you allow your employees to take part in is partial lump sum distribution at retirement. What this does is it allows your employees to withdraw a part or all of the money that they've contributed to the plan or the interest that they've earned, and then retire more on the appraisal district's match. They can take out $5,000, $10,000, or all of their contribution and then retire on the other. That does significantly reduce that that benefit, because those dollars then are not matched if they take that partial lump sum. Okay, responsible funding. So how is the plan funded? It's funded primarily through our investment earnings. I'm on page 6, the second slide here with the dollar bills. Primarily from investment earnings, 74 cents of every dollar that we pay out comes from our investment earnings. 15% of every benefit dollar that's paid out comes from our employer contributions, and then 11 cents of every dollar comes from our members' own contributions. If we flip the page, I just have one small slide on our diversified portfolio. This shows you how we're diversified across asset classes, but we're also diversified within asset classes. We have a really robust investment pages on our website if you're interested, www.tcdrs.org. Click on investments at the top and you can click into each one of these asset classes. You can see our returns, you can see our benchmarks, you can see the managers. We have an in-house management team as well as an external investment manager. Our board does meet quarterly to look at our investments, to change our allocation just a little bit. But interestingly enough, at TCDRS, in our 57 years of existence, we've had 3 CIOs. So that's really interesting in the world of investment firms and pensions. CIOs are usually in and out, in and out. So we have a really solid investment foundation. Our philosophy hasn't changed a whole lot in almost 60 years, but our asset allocation certainly has changed in those years. The next line is our investment returns at the 5, 10, 20, and 30 years. You can see our 30-year return is 8%. Our benchmarks have returned about 7%. That's a whole percent more than our benchmark. And that's annualized. That's year over year over year, 4% more. And that's huge over a long period of time. We focus on the long term because our employees are working 15, 20 years, or our members are working 15, 20 years, and then they're staying retired another 15, 20, 25, 30 years. So we're investing for the long term. And as people retire, new people are coming into the system. So we're looking farther down the road. We understand that in any given year, there is definitely some volatility. The next slide shows that. If you look at page 8, the top slide. A lot of people call this an EKG slide. It's really our annual returns for the last 20 years. You can see it starts in 2005 and goes through 2024. We have a risk tolerance. That gray band is our risk tolerance. So in any given year, we expect our returns to land somewhere in that risk tolerance. And you can see that every single year, almost, we've landed within that risk tolerance. That means our investments are doing exactly what we expect them to do, with the exception of 2008, which was the Great Recession, and the subsequent recovery in 2009. Those 2 years were the real outliers. We did have some losses, we had some gains, but by 2013, we had recovered all losses that we had from 2008. And at TCDRS, we smooth our gains and losses over 5 years to allow for market corrections and to offset, to mitigate the fluctuation of your employer rate. So it's more rolling hills and not peaks and valleys. We also have reserves that we use when we need to offset any losses that we might have. At some point in the next few years, we're going to get to stop talking about 2008. It seems like such a long time ago, but then again, it seems like just yesterday, if you all were around in here and had to experience that, for sure. So that's how investments play a role within our system. They fund, 3/4 of the benefits paid. And the rates that you pay help to fund the plan as well. 15 cents of every dollar, or was it 14? I should know this. 15 cents of every dollar help to fund those benefits. So how do we come up with those employer rates? Our actuaries take your plan and your plan only. We pool all the money for investment purposes, but for funding, you're funding your employees only and not anyone else's. You're not cost sharing with the county or any of the appraisal or the emergency services districts or the water districts or any of the hospital districts or anything like that. You're funding only your employees, and their future benefits. So our actuaries are gonna study your workforce and they're gonna see what happened. What happened at the local level? Who quit? Who, when they quit, did they pull their money out or did they leave their money there? How many retirements did you have? How many disability retirements did you have? Did your salaries go up? Did your salaries go down? People are retired. Are they living longer than we think they were going to? If they outlive their life expectancy? Those are all things that our actuaries are looking at. So they use those to value those future benefits. They discount them back in today's dollars, and then they create a rate, a required rate that helps to fund those. They compare the assets and liabilities, and over a closed period of time, you're funding to 100 and closing those liabilities to 0. And that's what that required rate does. In 2026, your employer required rate is 14.08%. That's what a rate is. What at 14.08% of what? That's your annualized payroll. However, the appraisal district has an elected rate that has been in place for a few years. It's been in place, I can look at that, at the rate of 16.18%. And what that does is it does a couple of things. That elected rate is funding the cost of living adjustment that you're being asked to approve today over time, as well as an additional contribution that you all send in. Those two things are funding the COLA that was the COLAs that are passed, the cost of livings that are passed, as well as any past benefit increases. Now, you all haven't had a benefit increase in quite a long time. You're at 7% employee deposit rate. That's as high as you can go. You're at the 250% match, which is the highest you can go. That was put into place in 2009. That was amortized over 15 years. I believe that with our extra earnings that we've had over that period of time, everyone is in a gain position. So it took you less than 15 years to pay that off with that elected rate and those lump sums. So you're just in a really good position. You started paying elected rates, goodness, back in 2011, it looks like. And since 2011, you all have paid an elected rate into the plan.
So when you say we have paid in the elected rate, so that's the 2 percentage points higher than.
Correct, and that's the employer contribution, and that goes to fund those current employers' future benefits that match and any benefit increases that you might have. And it can help offset any adverse market economic times as
And
well.
you'll tell me why we're increasing at 1% and we're 2% higher than what?
So
Increasing at 1%. We're talking about a retiree. COLA.
Right.
Different.
yes,
Okay.
a retiree, and I'm going to talk about the retiree
Okay.
COLA here, just one minute. So below on the same page, reasons for rate change. The required rate for 2025 was 14.27%. We had gains from our investment earnings. We earned 10.3% last year. We passed through those gains. Our board typically pass throughs and through gains anything over 7.5% to our employers. So it's a negative 0.19. That's actually a positive plan experience because that is a rate reducing effect. That reduced your rate by 0.19% because we passed extra earnings into your plan. Then you paid an elected rate that reduced your required rate by a little bit more. You did have a little bit of economic things that happened within the district that bumped it up just a little bit. So the ending required rate for 2026 is 14.08%. Now the elected rate of 16.18 stays in effect. That does not go out of effect until you all propose that and the board changes it and it's voted on. Currently, that's not being asked to do. So that leaves you with a funded ratio for this plan of 94.4%. Many people ask, well, what's a good funding ratio? If you ask the ratings agencies like Fitch, S&P, they say that anything over 80% for this type of retirement plan is in good financial health. Especially if it's an ongoing and ongoing payments are required. We require monthly payments, we revalue it every year, and that's by state statute. So you all are in really, really good shape. Any questions on that? Okay, I'm gonna skip over because I talked about how to keep the rate stable and you're doing that by paying those extra money. So I'm gonna skip to 11, the bottom slide. And talk about the two types of COLAs that we have and what you all are proposing. The two types of COLAs that we have is a flat rate COLA. And what that does is that increases all of your retirees by the same percentage. What's being proposed is a 1% flat rate COLA. So that's going to look at each one of your retirees, look at their current benefit and increase it by 1% going forward. It's not just 1% for 1 year and then it goes back. It increases at 1% going forward. The other one is a CPI based COLA. What that does is it looks at each retiree, it goes back to their retirement date, looks at inflation over time, and then can catch them up for a percentage of that inflation over time. COLAs in our system are not automatic. Each year you all look at that and it's something that you decide on whether or not you're going to do. This appraisal district does not do COLAs every single year. They space them out with a couple of 1 or 2 years in between for purposes, for maybe GASB purposes that I would include for that. So there's two ways to fund a COLA. Number one is simply pay the required rate. You don't do any extra funding. You don't do the lump sum. You don't do the elected rate. And it's just a liability on the books and it's amortized over 15 years and it's paid off over time. It's like having a 15-year mortgage. It just paid off over time. Or you can pay it off immediately with an extra contribution. And that's what this district does. They calculate what it's going to cost to pay the retirees that cost of living. They add that extra money if it's feasible within the budget to fund that COLA. That means that there is no liability on your plan. And I've put in on your packet this sheet that has a side-by-side comparison. And it shows the 1% flat rate COLA. It's on the compared plan. It's on the 1, 2, 3, 4th down, your flat rate COLA. And it shows the additional contribution. And if you look below, it keeps that funded ratio exactly in the same place. And it keeps your your required rate exactly at the same amount. So that additional contribution completely pays for that cost of living adjustment right up front. The other document that I put in your folder is the plan assessment. This is a document that we send out every year. It basically just talks about what I just covered, talks about your replacement ratio. What are you replacing in your employees' retirement over different years of service? The longer you work in our plan, the more money you contribute, the more interest you earn, the bigger the match is going to be, the more income you're going to replace in retirement. And then finally, the last page is those reasons for rate change that I went over. And I talked about how at TCDRS, our rate history, we try and keep it a real straight line. So it's a fairly easy budget item. You're not going to see rates go up and down real volatilely each year. And that's because of the way that we're structured and the way that this district has moved forward on funding the plan in a very responsible way and putting you in a good position. That's all I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions and happy to get
Well,
those.
I'm still, this is Japanese for me. Cause I'm on a 401.
401, okay.
And I converted it to an IRA. But if we don't know how many retirees we have, what age they're retiring.
Oh, we have all that information.
That it's hard for me to vote on a decision like this without knowing why are we needing a 1% COLA adjustment?
So
When was the last time we did a COLA adjustment?
the last COLA that you provided,
We fund it in odd years to be paid out in even years.
Okay, so
And
the
that's
last one was 2023.
Yes.
Okay.
2023 that became active for 2024. So you're doing it every other year. The COLA is it's a retiree benefit only. And so what it does is it helps to you know, when you're retiree at TCDRS, the benefit is it does not, there are no automatic COLAs. So once a person retires and let's say they get $1,000 a month, they're gonna get $1,000 a month for the rest of that benefit regardless. The only way that they're gonna get an increase to offset inflation, which eats away at your purchasing power every single year, is by the employer, whether it's appraisal district or the county or the drainage district or the emergency services district, for their board or the board of commissioners to actually sit down and talk about that and pass a cost of living adjustment for a retiree. For sure. So that's why you all do it. It's been done for many, many years. First COLAs were passed in 1986. You all began participation in 1981. In 1986, you all did COLAs every year through 2004, and then took a break and then started again in 2009, and then a break 2014, and then from there it's been every other year. So that's why you do it. And I'm sorry I don't have the number of retirees. I normally do bring that document. I did not bring it with me.
So maybe-
Something that's easy to
Maybe
look at.
Crystal can explain, I guess, so the liability would be that we underfunded it?
No, it's never been funded because they're retired already. So their retirement was funded over the course of their career, but you don't pre-fund COLAs.
So you're talking liability, like you use that word.
Correct.
liability. So what liability do we?
So when you pass a COLA, what you're doing is each retiree is already, we know how much they're making in benefits, right? So we know that all retirees, if we look up at all the benefits that we pay, we're paying retirees X amount of money. If we are going to increase the amount that we pay them because you all passed a 1% cost of living, that means that we're paying out more than we had been. So that creates a liability. So in order to not put that liability on your books and fund it over 15 years, your financial liability,
That's.
sorry, financial liability,
Okay.
This,
then
this isn't like a legal liability. It's an accounting
Oh, okay.
liability.
Okay.
So that
Sorry.
like when we do our operating budget, which I don't see here,
We
right?
did budget for that.
Okay, so you budgeted for a 1% COLA.
We budget 275,000 annually, and
Okay,
we build up a reserve account. And that we build up the reserve account to pay for the retiree.
That reserve account is one of our encumbered funds.
okay, so it cost us 275,000.
When we budget
In
annually,
Pay for the 1%.
and then we do our calculations, so we're asking the board. We have a budget amount of 275,000. We're gonna use $387,654 from our reserve account. That gives us a total of $662,654. And that'll fund,
And
that's how
where am I
much-
seeing this?
Oh.
This,
there, I have it right here.
So it's kind of like your social security that I get, we automatically get a cost of living.
So that's
correct.
You get from-
That's this, correct, that's the 1% retiree COLA is this amount.
okay,
So
so
we're gonna have this much left in our reserve account once we're
okay,
done.
so the COLA isn't 275,000, it's 602.
Yes, yeah, and that's on this paper.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, but the 602,000 is the extra contribution.
Yes,
Then our liabilities.
Okay,
But we're funding it on an ongoing basis.
Right.
Just doing these occasional distribution.
Correct.
correct.
So with the 2026 budget that the board has already approved, in 2026, 275,000 will automatically be for that, for the following year.
Retiree reserve.
Yes, for the reserve.
can you remind me, you said that COLAs didn't get cost till 1986,
Correct.
and then we did the COLA increase from which years to which years?
There were cost of living adjustments for retirees only. The first one was passed in 1985 that went into effect in 1986. And the last one was passed, then, well, not the last one.
Now, what we paid into COLA, how we raised COLA, how we paid extra into COLA.
For many years, there was not extra payments into funding the COLA. It was just a plan change and it becomes amortized over 15 years and it was paid for by required rate. that
Okay.
was determined by our actuaries,
Okay,
okay? And then in,
I think it's 2014.
So
You
wait,
rattled it off. You
Yeah.
said, we paid into it from X to X.
right,
Took a break, X to X.
well, that's what I said, that you had passed a COLA, not overfunding. You had an elected rate then in effect in 2002, 3, and 4 to help fund those COLAs. What I rattled off is just when you had done COLAs.
Okay, yeah, what are those?
1986 through 2004,
Okay,
2009, 2014, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, and now you're voting on
okay,
26.
so since 2014, we've done it
Every 2 years.
Okay.
Correct.
So we budget the funding for it on an annual basis.
Correct.
So that's why we have,
that was something that the previous,
that's why we have encumbered reserve funds.
correct, that's what the previous chief was, is to pre-fund it. And then to be paid off on an even years to again, not affect our unfunded liability. Yeah.
And the more retirees we get, the higher amount that we have, and, right?
Well, it depends on,
Uh-huh.
you have people coming into the system, you have people.
Right. You have retirees passing on too.
Do you know what that average age is for us?
For your retirees, when people retire, age 60, yeah, that was part of the presentation.
When the date of death.
No, I do not. We don't keep
That's
that
what I
information.
Okay,
We don't-
so
I don't
we
have that.
know what the average date of death is for. our plan.
I can ask the actuaries, but
Okay.
that's not shared with us.
Okay,
So, my wife is an actuary, and if I don't ask a question, I'll hear about it. So, yeah, so, because she's gonna ask, what did you talk about today? And this is, so when they do the assessment of the employee pool, on a demographic basis, is it just based on the national data, or do they do it based on Texas data, or what is actually the?
So when they're actually looking at the demographics on yours, we have our own actuarial assumptions within our plan that we use. And so they're looking at your plan, they're looking at actually your employees. And they're looking at, what's our investment return? What was your payroll? What was your salary variation? How many people terminated? If they terminated, what was their behavior? Did they leave their money in the plan? Did they take it out? How many people retired? How many people were eligible to retire within this plan, but chose to keep on working? How many are eligible to retire, but separated service and didn't take a benefit? Now they're just waiting to retire, right? Because their account keeps growing. So they look at all of those types of things. We definitely have assumptions on inflation and on mortality. Those are tables that are national tables, but we adopt those tables. Yes, we do adopt certain tables. Now, there's a lot of different tables, but we do adopt those, yes. And the summary valuation that is available to you has all of that information in it. That is available to you.
so you make more than 7%, the 7% is just a default.
So, our goal is 7.5% every year. Member accounts are credited 7% every year. Employer accounts, if we get 7.5, employer accounts are credited 7.5 every year. If we make more than 7.5, our board historically has passed through those extra earnings to our employers. It's your money, it's your plan. If we make less than 7.5%, our members still get 7%. Employers are gonna get less than 7.5%, and it could cause the next year's cost, that rate, to increase just a little bit. But again, remember, in any gain or loss situation, we're smoothing that over 5 years. So we're only recognizing it a fifth at a time, and that helps those rates to remain stable. In addition, we have reserves that we use that if we have an investment year that was a challenge, our board has historically approved to pass through money from our reserves to mitigate or to offset any of those losses below that 7.5%.
Okay, so we're making money on the money that we have
Correct.
bundled there.
Absolutely.
And what is that bundle? I guess that bundle there is
But plus we're,
602,000.
No,
Well, 602,000 is the extra
Is-
contribution
yeah.
that I'd be asking the board to fund right now.
Your total value of assets is almost $102 million.
102 million,
Yes.
and that's here on this one
Yes.
plan sheet,
Mhm.
okay.
Well,
Am I
thank
the
you
only
for,
one with questions?
thank you for answering the actuarial question. I'm
You bet.
interested now.
I hope that answered it. Any other questions? Concerns?
No, we really appreciate a very clear and insightful presentation. Thank you.
Well, we're happy to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Let me know if you need anything and I will, I'll email you that.
Okay.
And it's also in the summary evaluation. It's
I'll
available.
probably log in and
Okay.
get the report.
Okay.
Bring
All right.
forward the questions.
Yes,
on
ma'am.
Number.
Yes.
Okay.
On the number.
Number of retirees.
Yes.
And so the recommendation of the organization is to approve this.
Correct. Well, now I will ask the board for authorization to use the $275,000 that was already in the budget, alongside taking out $327,094 from our reserve account, which will still leave a balance in our reserve account that we will start building up towards. And that those two, the budgeted amount and the portion from the reserve account, will be enough to pay off the extra contribution for this year's funding of the contribution, yes, sir, of the cost of living.
I make a motion to approve.
So we have a motion to approve, Dr. Barksdale from Mr. Stahanowitz. We have a second from Mr. Barksdale. Any further conversation? No. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you again. We really appreciate it. Item F is the appraisal review board members for 2026 and 2027. Mr. White.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
A resolution from the Board of Directors of the Bear Appraisal District appointing new members and reappointing existing members to the Bear Appraisal Review Board for the 2026 and 2027 tax year pursuant of section 6.41 of the Texas Property Tax.
Based on the recommendation, I'd like to make a motion to pass the resolution.
We have a motion, second, a motion from Mr. Stahanowitz, and second from Dr. Garcia. I guess my question is, do these people fully staff the review board, or are we short of some spaces? We're fully staffed. Yes, we're fully staffed.
So we
Remind
have-
us, remind us again how many protests we did last.
Total, we received 186,000 approximately, a
Well,
little over that.
we're pretty much done with.
Yes, sir. We have a couple of weeks of, I think it's 2 weeks in December, early December, that we will finish up the
Those are
prior.
the ones that were postponed for
Correct.
cause. Yeah.
And it's not the full weeks, but it's certain days on those 2 weeks.
And how many are here? So we have 17 new members. How many are total in here? Is this the same? Remind me how many are on board?
The board has approved 65,
64.
50 total ARB members and 15 alternates.
Okay, so these are the 50 main ones.
This will be covering everything.
Everything, even the.
If I believe,
Yes.
there is also here, the last paragraph on the bottom, there's also the appointed as alternates. So they differentiate between the actual members and the alternates, ma'am.
That's on page 2.
Page 1 of the resolution, ma'am.
All the alternates are listed by name here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's that 7 on the bottom.
Correct. Esther,
Okay,
Hudson, Ms. Moreno. Bettis, Schaefer, White, and Jimenez.
but those are the same amount we had last year with 186,000. Protest.
The total protest, yes, last year was a little more, I believe, but we're roughly around the same figures. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great.
So after the big surge, and the post-COVID bump in real estate prices have stabilized.
Hoping it stays that way.
Seems that way.
We're hoping it stays that way.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those, any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion's passed. You're fully staffed, Mr. Dorf. Okay, item B is the appraisal review board officers for 2026.
A resolution from the Board of Directors of the Bear Appraisal District appointing the officers of the Bear Appraisal Review Board for the 2026 tax year pursuant to section 6.42 of the Texas Property Tax Code. May I get a motion, please?
And those are mentioned in the resolution, the last.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Hanovich, that would, the resolution is asking the board to approve Mr. Daniel George to remain as ARB Chair and Ms. Nora Flanagan to be appointed again as the Secretary for the Appraisal Review Board.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
So we have a motion from Mr. Sahanovitz. We have a second from Dr. Barksdale. Conversation.
Just a quick question, so that's George's second term.
Yes,
And then, okay, and that's hers too.
I believe so. Is that correct? Yeah, right. Yes.
I was wrong.
All right, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Watt. Item H, bank depository.
I'm just informing the board that will be going out for the bank depository services. The RFP is out. And I should have we should have everyone, all the bids come back, next month, and then we'll bring it before the board for approval.
Our current institution is Broadway Bank.
Oh, so this is just if we change the bank depository,
Yeah, and we've gone out for them so
but you're
that
expecting this to
Okay.
be for Broadway.
So we'll see that on the next.
in December.
Oh, this is the bidding,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's a minimum of 3.
This one for the bank depository, by the tax code, we can do it for 2 years and
Okay.
then an option with board approval for an additional 4 years. So a total of 6 years.
And
With board
And
approval.
how long have they been in?
Them since 2014.
Okay,
Yes, and we put it out there. It's just a lot of people don't bid on it that much. Maybe we'll get 1 or 2.
okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is executive session, and we will have an executive session, so we are adjourning to executive session at 2:50 p.m. Yes, you may.
And
6 p.m. and we'll call the board back in open session. All right,
Excuse me, Mr. Gannon, was there gonna be motion?
yes, I was just about to get to that. Okay. So statute calls that upon reconvening into open session, the board of directors may consider an act upon items discussed in closed executive session. The primary point of conversation that resulted in an action is the extension of the chief appraiser's contract to state chief appraiser for a period of 2 years, starting in January 6th to 2026 through January 5th of 2028.
Chairman, commission for approval.
We have a motion for
Second.
approval, motion second. For the record, the changes that are being made in the contract is the change of the effective termination date, an adjustment in the salary to a salary of $230,000 per year, the continuation of the car allowance at $12,000 per year, a continuation of a reimbursable expenses to $8,000 a year, and a statutorily required amendment to section 5.5B in terms of termination for any cause that limits the compensation upon separation to salary of amount equal to 20 weeks of compensation, less any accrued vacation or paid time off. Those will be the only changes to the contract. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion by Dr. Garcia, a second by Ms. Heisel. Do we have any discussion? All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations. Well, thank you very much for your service.
To every single member of the board right now, to those that are here and those that are not, I want to express my sincere gratitude, my appreciation for your support in me, for your belief in me, and this opportunity to continue doing what I love doing with the people that I love working with. I take my job very seriously, and so do they, and this means a lot to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dave, do you want it back?
Sure, I'll give him that. So we will now go on to our reports. We will have the financial conditions. Crystal.
Yes, under tab 1, I will read the funds investment report for September 30th, 2025. Total deposits were $16,923,902.37. Year-to-date interest earned is $242,529.26. We are over collateralized by $550,037.65. If you turn to page 4, you'll see total revenues collected as of September 30th are $28,486,339. And if you turn to page 7, you'll see our fund balance as of September 30th is $4,990,993. And if you turn to page 8, that's our designated cash funds, our reserves accounts, and as of September 30th, there were no changes. Do you have any questions?
So the retirement fund is where?
It is under, let's see, it says retirement funding.
What?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the 6th one down. Has $387,654.
Sorry, I need to bring my glasses.
For your magnifying glass, that's small. Do
Yeah.
we have any questions, Ms. Crystal? All right. Appraisal record. How many?
Yes, sir. Glad to wrap this up in hopefully a short manner. November is traditionally a lighter month on the appraisal calendar. We've continued with field operations, staff education and recertification, and we're preparing for ARB hearings come December. To date, we've inspected 36,000 parcels. That represents about 50% of our anticipated inspections for the year. And for ARB, we expect probably 5 days of hearings and about 4,700 accounts to process.
Was that comparable to this time last year?
In terms of field inspections, we're ahead over the past 3 years.
Okay.
With an early completion date of the regularly scheduled ARB season this year, we got to the field earlier. And so that put us ahead of schedule on inspections. And so we're going to be able to inspect more and in a more timely manner.
Okay, good work.
So we have 4,700 ARB hearings left
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
that
ma'am.
we're gonna do between December 2nd and the 10th.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Piece of cake.
Very well. Very workable.
Thank you, Tom. And based on the agenda I'm looking at, that was our last item.
One of the things that I would like to add, sir, that I want to just inform the board is on December the fifth, we usually take that week to have staff development for the office. It's so hard for us to meet together. So we will be closing the office at noon that day. Jennifer was going to be posting it on our social media, on our website. But December the fifth, our office will be closed at noon on that day. For again, staff development and employee recognition. I don't know if any of y'all took the liberty of looking up when y'all walked into our building, but our sign is up.
I did make a point.
And I want to thank Christopher for coordinating that. It looks amazing.
What I want to know is how are you going to fit central in that? Parking?
But
Clearly, we're not. Okay.
that's all I have for anybody.
So just make sure that the December 5th closures are well
Absolutely.
marketed, social media.
Yes, ma'am. And look,
Maybe a letter to the, if we need to the taxing
you
entities.
could, yes, ma'am.
Letter, email.
We'll do it often. Yes,
And I didn't get to see the sign because that's why I was late. People wouldn't go around the cherry picker,
Yeah,
go around it.
we're in the process of painting that.
is the cherry picker gonna be up?
hopefully this weekend.
Yeah, so they're finishing painting the building.
Bring your glasses for size.
Like, you have to remind me.
All right, that being the end of our agenda, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'm so moved.
So, Dr. Barksdale, seconded by Ms. Heisel, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any of those, there are none, we are adjourned.